You've brushed your teeth, made coffee, and drove to work, but you can't remember a second of it. That's autopilot, and it's costing you your life. Most people think they're awake, but 95% of their day is still running on autopilot. That's not judgment. It's neuroscience. Your brain repeats what it knows because safety feels easier than presence. In my last video, we talked about what happens when you start waking up from unconscious living. That first realization that you're not your thoughts, but the awareness behind them. But even if you're joining me here for the first time, you're in the right place because this is where awakening becomes practical, where we learn how to take that awareness and actually live it, because this is where awakening becomes embodied, where spiritual meets real world practice. And that last line we ended with, awareness is in control, it's freedom, that's the thread we'll follow today. Let me ask you something. Have you ever driven somewhere, maybe to work or the grocery store, and realized you don't remember half of the trip? You stopped at every light, you signaled, you arrived safely, but your mind was somewhere else? That's autopilot, a brilliant survival feature when we need efficiency, and a quiet thief when we crave connection. It doesn't just happen in cars. It happens in conversations, in routines, in the moments that could have been sacred if we've been there to feel them. And here's the open secret. We all do it. I still catch myself doing it. Just last week, I was making tea and realized I'd answered 3 emails in my head before the kettle even boiled. I laughed and then I breathed. You're going to find me saying that a lot. Breath is so much in this whole journey. It takes one breath, one pause, one return to presence. That's mindfulness in action. In a few minutes, I'm going to share 3 simple shifts that break the autopilot loop instantly. Tools you can use today wherever you are. But first, I want you to understand what's really happening inside when life runs on autopilot. Because once you see the psychology behind it, you'll never mistake distraction for safety again. Let's look at what the mind is actually trying to do when it takes over and how awareness gently takes the reins back. Your brain loves patterns. It repeats what's familiar because familiarity feels like safety. Now, when you brush your teeth, tie your shoes, or drive home the same way every day, your mind runs the script so your conscious energy can rest. That's autopilot at work. Helpful for survival, but limiting for awakening. The problem isn't autopilot itself. It's when we forget we have handed over the wheel. When routine becomes our only reality, awareness fades into the background. Here's how it happens. Every thought you repeat strengthens a tiny neural pathway. Over time, that pathway becomes a highway, and your mind says, perfect, I'll just stay right here in my lane. It's efficient, but it's also how we relive yesterday instead of creating today. Think about it. How many times have you caught yourself reacting before you can even begin to realize what triggered you? That's autopilot, the mind racing ahead to protect, defend, or perform before awareness ever enters the room. I remember a day when I caught myself mid-reaction. Someone had questioned a decision I'd made, and without even thinking, I felt my chest tighten and words rise up in defense. Then, just for a second, I noticed it. That space between the feeling and the response. In that space, awareness whispered, "You don't have to do this." And just like that, the whole energy shifted. That moment taught me something. Our power doesn't live in the habit. It lives in the pause. In a minute, I'm going to share 3 simple ways to use that pause, tools that interrupt the brain's default wiring and bring you back to now. But first, I invite you to remember this. Autopilot isn't failure. It's just the mind's way of saying, I'm tired, please take the wheel. And that's where mindfulness steps in. Because when you bring awareness to autopilot, you don't destroy the pattern, you transform it. Let's talk about how we can take back the wheel gently. Because awareness isn't about control. Awareness is freedom. Here are 3 small practices that interrupt autopilot instantly. No special settings, no ritual, just you meeting this moment with presence. First, I call it the pause breath. Before you reach for your phone, answer a text, or respond to a comment, stop. Take 1 breath, in through the nose and out through the mouth. That's the reset. It is as simple as that. It tells your nervous system we're safe, we can choose, and choice is the language of consciousness. You'll be amazed how many impulses dissolve in that single exhale. 2, name what's now. And what I mean by that is when you feel scattered, say quietly, in this moment I notice, and fill in the blank with what's real. The sound of rain, the hum of the fridge, the weight of my feet on the floor. That simple naming anchors you in sensory reality. Your mind can't observe and obsess at the same time. The observation wins every time. This is mindfulness made human, awareness choosing the present over projection. 3, practice a micro gratitude shift. This one's actually my favorite. When you catch yourself lost in thought, whisper a quiet thank you, not for perfection, but for noticing. Just say, thank you for remembering me. That phrase rewires the mind's association with awareness. Instead of judgment, gratitude. Instead of shame, return to presence. What I mean by that is you're literally teaching your brain that awakening feels good, and the brain always returns to what feels safe and good. Most people think that these tiny moments don't matter, but they do, profoundly, because repetition is what builds autopilot, and repetition is what dissolves it. In a moment, I'll show you how these pauses and micro-gratitudes begin to rewire your inner landscape, how mindfulness shifts from a momentary practice into a new way of being. Here's what's happening beneath the surface. Every time you pause, every time you choose awareness over reaction, you're literally reshaping the brain. Neuroscience calls it neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections and dissolve old ones. Spirit, however, calls it awakening. Different language, same miracle. Those 3 micro shifts, the 3 micro shifts that you just learned, they tell your brain a new story. I am safe enough to be present. Each pause strengthens the neural path of peace. Each breath weakens the highway of hurry. Each thank you opens a door to grace. So mindfulness isn't a trick for calm. It's a rewiring of identity. You stop being a passenger in your own life and become the conscious driver again. This is where the psychology of awakening becomes visible. Your emotions regulate faster, your reactions soften. You begin responding instead of defending. That's the quiet proof that awakening is real. And remember, awareness isn't control. Awareness is freedom. Freedom from the loops you didn't know you were living. In the next video, we'll go even deeper into this. What's actually happening inside your nervous system as you awaken, and how the psychology of awareness changes the way you think, feel, and create. Take one last breath with me. Inhale, hold it for a second, and exhale through your mouth. Feel how awareness itself has texture, calm, open, alive. That's the space you create every time you interrupt autopilot. It's proof that presence is always waiting for you. So today, as you move through your routines, your conversations, your quiet moments, I invite you to notice how often you can return here, not to control, not to perfect, but simply to be aware. Because awareness isn't control, awareness is freedom. If this reflection helped you breathe a little deeper or see yourself a little clearer, stay with me. In the next video, we'll explore how these small moments of mindfulness begin to rewire your entire inner landscape, how the psychology of awakening transforms the way you think, feel, and create. And if you'd like to keep working and walking this path with me, take a moment to subscribe and click the bell down below so you don't miss that next video. Every new subscriber helps this message reach more people who are remembering their light. I'm Cheryl T. Campbell. Until we meet again, many blessings to you and yours. And remember, even the smallest act of awareness can become a beacon. I invite you to be the light that inspires others to do the same. Bye-bye for now.